Adventure into fear. Welcome to Adventure into Fear. This is your host, Tony Roberts, to take you on a personally conducted tour into the world of the strange, the mysterious, the uncanny, and the unknown. Remember, none of these things you'll hear about could possibly happen to you. Or could they? Now to our story. I hope it will thrill you a little and chill you a little. So settle back, get a good grip on your nerves, and be comfortable, if you can, as you hear the story I call The Big Brain. My story begins in one of the manufacturing plants of the Worldwide Business Machines Corporation. In a wing of the plant is housed the huge laboratories of the company, where newly designed and experimental calculating machines are built and tested. It is evening, and the vast laboratory with its long rows of intricate-looking machines is deserted, except for a young university professor, Lester DeWitt. Tall, lanky, and in his early 30s, DeWitt stands before a massive machine that dwarfs all others in the laboratory. Swiftly, efficiently, he presses tabulating keys on the control board, oblivious of all else.
3.521 to the 8th digit, 74.3 to the 3rd digit, 74.56 to the 4th digit, and 9.3 to the 5th digit, 174.325, the 6th digit.
Hey, is that you, Professor DeWitt?
Yeah, I'm at the Big Brain. 6.527 to the 4th digit.
Got your visitor, Professor.
A visitor? Julia.
Well, I'm glad to see that you at least remember my name.
Of course, Professor, I'm not supposed to let anyone in here, but engineers and university people like yourself, but figured seeing you and her is engaged.
Yeah, thanks, Bob.
That's all right. Enjoy seeing young people get together.
Julia, I'm terribly sorry. I forgot completely. Were you waiting long?
Only half an hour. But then I realized I'd been stood up.
Honestly, Julia, I had no idea it was so late. I decided to run a test at 5:30 and be finished by 6:30 at the latest, but...
If you could only see your face. You look like a small boy who's been caught raiding the pantry.
I'm danged if he doesn't.
Yeah, then you aren't angry with me.
No, I'm not angry. I'll just have to accept you for what you are, an absent-minded professor. Well, so this is my rival. I've never seen such a huge machine.
Yeah, it weighs over 50 tons.
50 tons?
Yeah, that's right. The staff at the plant calls this machine the Big Brain.
It's the only one of its kind in the world, Julia.
Lester, those thousands of keys and levers. Do you know what each one of them is for?
Yes, of course.
Oh, you're amazing. You can never remember the date, and yet you know what each of these keys are for.
Oh, it's my job. Julia, have you ever seen anything as beautiful as this machine?
Well, some men might consider me a little more beautiful.
I'm one of them.
No, but look at it, look. Do you realize that the Big Brain can calculate elliptical integrals?
Is that good?
Good. Why, human mind has never been able to solve elliptical integrals. There have been no methods of solution, but this machine can.
Yeah, there's one thing your Big Brain can't do, Professor.
Huh? What's that?
Well, it can't take this here racing sheet here and dope out the winners of tomorrow's races.
Racing. You're still playing the horses, eh, Pop?
Yeah, not doing so good either. Well, I gotta make my runs. Nice talking to you, everyone, folks.
Good night, Mr. Swenson.
Night, Pop.
You know, I really should be jealous of that machine, Les. A certain light appears in your eyes when you speak of it. Sometimes I think that you care more for that.
But you don't really believe that.
No, not really.
Hey, look. Pop left his racing paper behind.
Oh. Why are you looking through it?
I've never read a racing paper before. It's interesting.
I
Very
can't make heads or tails out of it.
No, look down here. You see, these are the explanations for the abbreviations and symbols. You know, this racing sheet's a treasury of facts. Why, in each race alone, there's over 1,000 facts to be taken into consideration. Yeah.
Now, Les, you aren't going to spend the rest of the night studying that paper, are you?
You know, I'd always been inclined to think that horse racing was a matter of sheer luck, but that isn't so at all. Just look at all the information that's available in this paper. I can't understand why Pop thought the big brain couldn't calculate the winners of these races.
You mean you think it could?
Well, I see no reason why it shouldn't be able to, in view of all these facts we have on past performances.
Lester, you aren't serious, are you?
Well, of course I am. Look, would you like to try it as an experiment?
An experiment?
Yeah, sure. We'll put all these facts through the machine.
This I have to see to believe. Going away, $9.50. Flying Ghost.
Flying Ghost.
October 5th,
October 5th.
Belmont Park. 3 years old and up. Claiming $5,000. Mile and an eighth, 120 pounds. Jockey Riker, track fast. Post position 4th, start 6th, quarter 4th, half 4th, 3/4 3rd, mile 3rd, stretch 3rd, finish 3rd. 2 lengths driving. $5.20.
$5.20.
That does it. 8 races. Well, now that you've given all the facts to the machine, what's next?
I just pull this lever, and the calculator goes to work.
How long does it take?
Oh, it's just a matter of seconds.
Les, do you really think it'll work?
Work? Why, of course. Unless the machine breaks down. As you can see, it's working perfectly. There. The solution's been attained. There.
Well, let me see it. First race, winner, yet a deer. 3-1. Place, Speeding Folly, 3-2. Show, Quaker Girl, 4-5. And it has the results of the other races as well.
Well, naturally.
And these horses, the winners?
Yes, there's no question of that. Tomorrow night we'll buy an evening paper with the racing results, and you'll see for yourself.
Les.
Uh-huh.
If you're so sure that these are the winners, why not make a small bet on the first race?
Small bet?
Yeah. Bet $2 to win on Yet a Deer in the first race. Then, if Yet a Deer wins, as you say she will, put all the winnings on the second race, then the third and the fourth and the fifth.
But I couldn't do a thing like that.
Well, why not?
Well, it wouldn't be ethical. I'm here from the university as a guest of this company. The information we get from the machine, it belongs to the company. They own the machine.
Oh, now, Les, stop being stuffy. Look, we've been saving for a year now to get married. If the machine is right, we could win enough money to buy all our furniture. Who knows, maybe even a house.
Look, I'm sorry, Julia, but I'm afraid I couldn't.
Why are
do
you
it.
so stubborn? Who could it possibly harm? Think of what it would mean to us.
Yeah, sure, I know, but...
Please, darling.
Pardon me, where can I make a $2 wager?
Right here, friend. What's your pleasure?
My pleasure. Oh, I'd like to bet on Yet a Deer in the first race at Belmont.
$2?
Yes, please.
Here you are. Yet a Deer paid $6.20. Here you are.
Thank you. Now I'd like to bet $6 to win on Morning Glory in the second race at Belmont.
6 on the nose on Morning Glory. Okay, you covered. That's 2,400, 25, 26, 27, 28, and 40. 2,840. I've been around a long time, but I've never seen it happen before.
Oh, well, as the law of averages, you know. You're bound to see it if you live long enough.
Yeah, so they say.
I'd like to bet the whole lot now to win on Stormy Night in the 7th.
No doubt in your mind, huh? Okay, you're covered.
Thank you.
Hello, Gladys. This is Steve. Connect me with the penthouse. I want to speak to the boss. There he is, boss. This is the guy I told you about on the phone.
Come in, Professor. Come in. I'm Victor King.
How do you know who I am?
Oh, it's my business to know the names of the people who patronize our establishment. All right, Steve, that'll be all.
Okay, boss. Be waiting outside.
Well, I understand, Professor, that you selected the winners of 8 races straight, and that I owe you $24,250.
That's right.
Oh, here you are, $24,250. What's wrong? Lose something?
Yeah, my wallet. I can't find it.
Oh, yes, your wallet. I have it here.
Huh?
You must have dropped it a little while ago in the racing room. One of my men found it and turned it over to me. Naturally, I had to go through it to find out who the owner was.
Oh. Yeah, I suppose so.
And besides $17, there were a number of things in it. A driver's license, a state university faculty card, a pass for admittance to the technical laboratory of worldwide business machines, and, this sheet of paper.
Oh. Yes, that.
It's very interesting, Professor. It has listed a selection of today's winning plates for the 8 races at Belmont. And strangely enough, every horse on this list came in exactly as selected. How would you explain that, Professor?
I don't have to explain it. Now, if you'll be so good as to return my wallet and everything that was in it...
I'm sorry, Professor, but I'm afraid you'll have to play ball, whether you want to or not.
What do you mean?
Sit down, Professor, and I'll tell you. Oh, sit down, Professor. That's it. And now we can really get down to business.
And then, Julia, he showed me pictures that he'd had taken of me in the racing room, a half dozen of them. All showing me making bets.
Oh, no.
Yeah. Well, he even had a camera hidden in the wall of his penthouse office, which filmed everything I said and did up in that penthouse.
And he demands that you give him the winners of every day's races.
Yes, it's blackmail, pure and simple. He has all the evidence he needs.
But, Lester, if you were to go to the university officials, the president of Worldwide Business Machines...
That'd be the end of my academic career. You know how the university is about such things. They'd regard my use of the big brain as dishonesty or worse.
Les, what are you going to do?
What can I do? I've got to supply King with the winners. If I don't, he'll expose me. He'll ruin my career.
What about a cigar, a drink, Professor?
No, thanks.
I'm feeling good, really good. 3 days in a row, all the winners at Belmont. Yes, sir, I'm feeling good. Oh, by the way, I'm putting your share of the winnings aside, Professor. Now amounts to $46,000. You can have it any time you want it.
I told you before, I don't want any part of that money.
Don't be a fool, Professor. Money's the only thing that counts. And what are you worried about? No one's going to find out our little secret? Not as long as just the two of us know about it.
My purpose in coming here was to explain to you that I can no longer go on with this.
Now, listen to me, Professor. You're going on supplying me with winners. We're playing this out to the finish. Now, today is Monday. I'm figuring on flying out to Santa Anita in a few days for the big handicap on Saturday. I want you to dope out the winners as soon as possible. I'm figuring on making a real killing at the track.
I won't do it.
Now, Professor, we don't have to go over that again, do we? I see we do. Okay, Professor, I'll put it on the line, straight, no trimmings. Now, sit down. This may take a little time.
Did you see Victor King?
Yeah, I saw him, Julia.
Well, what did he say?
Seems I have to play his way, or else.
Oh, Les.
Mr. King is a master of blackmail.
Les, what are those hundreds of books for? What are you doing?
These are flight records of the different airlines that fly to the West Coast. These records go back 5 years.
Well, what are you doing with them?
Trying an experiment. Don't know whether or not it'll work.
What kind of an experiment?
I'm attempting to find out if the big brain, given all the available flight information, can determine the date and time of a future plane crash.
A future plane crash?
Yeah.
But why?
Victor King is going to fly to California within the next few days. As yet, he hasn't decided what flight he's taking.
Well, what has that got to do... Les.
Julia, why not? How else can I fight back? Maybe this whole experiment is crazy, but if the big brain can determine future plane crashes, and if one is due to occur within the next 5 days, I'm going to do my best to see to it that Victor King is on that plane.
Les, what you're doing is insane.
Maybe. Time will tell.
Look, you must listen to me. You've got to go to the university officials and make a clean breast of things. I'm sure that they...
There. Solution's been attained.
Well, let me see it. Flight 106, Universal Airlines, 4:30 p.m., New York to Los Angeles. Crash 6:31 near Clinton, Ohio, February the 24th.
February 24th, that's this Friday. And King wants to be in California Saturday for the races.
But, Les, if there's a possibility of that plane crashing, we've got to go to the airline and warn them.
But if I went to them and told them, gentlemen, I believe that Flight 106 on February 24th is going to crash, well, what do you think they'd say? They'd have me placed under mental observation.
But, Les, if that plane crashes, killing innocent people, you'll never forgive yourself.
What's going to be will be. I can't prevent that which is ordained to happen.
And you're going to try to see it that Victor King is on Flight 106?
Yeah. Come what may, I've got to make sure he's on that flight. Hello.
Hello, Professor. This is Victor King.
Yes, Mr. King.
It's already Wednesday afternoon. Why haven't I received the winners of Saturday's races at Santa Anita?
I'm afraid I can't have them for you until Friday afternoon, around 4.
Why not?
I've got to have last-minute scratchings and other information to be able to calculate the winners.
Friday afternoon? That doesn't give me much time to get to Santa Anita.
Look, why don't I meet you at the airport Friday afternoon at 4 o'clock? There's a 4:30 plane to California, Flight 106.
Flight 106, huh? Leaves 4:30. Okay, see you then.
Don't worry, King. I'll be there. There's the gate for Flight 106, Julia. Straight ahead. And there's King with his bodyguard.
Hello, Professor. Cutting it rather fine, aren't you? It's already 4:25. The plane's ready to leave.
I was delayed by traffic. Here's the list of winners for tomorrow's races.
Oh, good. Walk me to the plane. I want to talk to you.
Oh.
Professor, I've got a little surprise for your girlfriend.
Surprise?
Yeah, that's right. Me and Steve here are taking you with us. We're gonna show you the time of your lives.
Yes, sir. But we can't go. I have classes.
Ah, what are you talking about? This is Friday. We'll have you back by Monday. Now, come on, get aboard.
We haven't any clothes.
Oh, yes, you have. Brought along clothes for both of you. Everything's been taken care of. You two are going if we have to carry you aboard.
What time is it?
Julia, stop asking me the time every minute. I just told you.
I can't stand this much longer. You've got to tell him. It's our only chance.
Tell him?
Yes.
Yeah, maybe you're right. King.
What is it, Professor?
Come a little closer. I've got something to tell you.
Sure. What is it?
This plane. It's going to crash at 6:31.
Crash? What are you talking about?
You heard me. The plane is going to crash.
I like a joke, but that's not funny.
It's
But I
not
tell
a
you-
joke. Can't you see he's serious?
How do you know the plane's gonna crash?
Same way I found out about the winners, the big brain.
If you aren't leveling with me, Well, I guess you are. You're scared. Real scared. I'm getting scared, too. Why'd you let us in for this? You must have known before we got on this plane that... I get it. You didn't figure on me taking you along.
Hey, boys, we gotta do something.
Yeah. I'll settle with you two later. Come on, Steve.
What are you going to do?
You'll see. Have your gun ready, Steve. We're making the pilot set us down, but fast.
Yeah, sure.
Here's where we take over.
Sorry, sir. Passengers aren't allowed up here.
Steve?
Gun?
Yeah. Now listen, bright boy. You and your little playmate here are going to set this plane down fast.
What for?
Because I say so. Now don't argue. Land this plane.
Well, nearest airfield is 20 minutes away. It can't
Shut up. Set it down now, this minute. Make an emergency landing.
You must be out of your mind.
Steve, count 5. If you don't start putting down, give it to the co-pilot.
All right. 1, 2, 3, 4.
Okay. You're calling it. Peter, give me a reading. Speed 240 miles per hour. Altitude 3,000. As we come over this mountain, there's a large field. We'll try to set down on it. Roger. Pete, give it to the passengers over the PA. Roger. We are now preparing to land. Passengers are asked to remain calm. Please fasten all safety belts. You two guys had better go back to your seats. Fasten your belts. It's gonna be a rough landing.
Yeah, if it's all the same to you, we'll stay right here where we can keep an eye on you.
Suit yourself. You don't mind if Peter and me strap ourselves in, do you?
Cut the chatter and land.
Give me a reading, Pete. Speed 230 miles per hour. Altitude 1,000 feet. Flaps down. Flaps down. Landing gear down. Landing gear down. Landing lights on. Landing lights on. Reading. Speed 180 miles. Altitude 500 feet. Speed 145. Altitude 200 feet. Speed 135. 125. 115. 95. Down. 80. 70. Hey, Bob, there's a ditch across the field. Take her up. Too late. Hang on.
My head.
Just lie quietly, Les.
Julia. Where am I?
You're in a hospital. You've been unconscious almost 3 hours, but the doctor says you'll be up in a few days.
The plane crash, yeah? Julia, are you all right?
Oh, I was just shaken up. Nothing else.
Victor King. What about him?
King and his bodyguard, Steve, were killed.
Killed?
Yes, when the plane crashed, they were up front without safety belts.
Anybody else killed?
No. Half dozen were hurt, but they'll all live.
Strange. The big brain picked the winners, but it was wrong about the plane crash.
Wrong?
Well, yes. After all, the only reason the plane crashed was because King forced the pilot to make an emergency landing.
You're overlooking just one fact, Les.
What?
The plane crashed at 6:31 p.m. The exact moment that the big brain said it would. How do you explain that, Professor?
This is Tony Roberts again. Yes, young Professor DeWitt has a good deal to ponder about while he recovers in the hospital. Would a plane crash have occurred if Victor King hadn't forced the pilot to make an emergency landing? Or was that the crash the big brain predicted? It's hard to say. But one thing is certain. Professor DeWitt, for some strange reason, has lost all scientific interest in the big brain. Goodbye now, and be with us again next week as we adventure into fear. Adventure into fear. Welcome to Adventure into Fear. This is your host, Tony Roberts, to take you on a personally conducted tour into the world of the strange, the mysterious, the uncanny, and the unknown. Remember, none of these things you'll hear about could possibly happen to you. Or could they? Now to our story. I hope it will thrill you a little and chill you a little. So settle back, get a good grip on your nerves, and be comfortable, if you can, as we meet two interesting individuals who hit upon a novel line of business, that of ghost makers. In the little New England village of Wilton, in an old colonial house just across the road from the town's ancient cemetery, you're having tea with your wealthy spinster aunt, Agatha Wainwright. Your name is Ned Wainwright, and you're her only living relative. You're spending a few weeks with your Aunt Agatha, not because you love her, but because you love her money. You urgently need to get your hands on some of it, and to help you in this interesting project, you've invited a friend to visit you. Your friend calls himself Professor Piedmont. He's a small, bright-eyed little man who's ostensibly traveling around New England, working on a book to be called Old Graveyards of New England. He's just arrived, and the three of you are having a nice, cozy time drinking tea and talking about cemeteries.
Well, Professor Piedmont, if it's cemeteries you're interested in, the one across the road ought to keep you busy for several days. Some of the worst rascals in all New England are buried in it. But for the life of me, I can't see why a grown man finds pleasure in staring at tombstones. More tea?
No, thank you. But tombstones make a fascinating study, Miss Wainwright. After 30 years, I haven't grown tired of them.
I'll take your word for it. For myself, I prefer to read about them in books.
Professor Piedmont not only writes books, Aunt Agatha, he's also an expert on psychic phenomena.
Psychic phenomena? Oh, you mean ghosts. Foolish fiddle-faddle dreamed up by silly people who are without the brains to know better.
But Miss Wainwright, I assure you you're wrong.
When a person's dead, he's dead. When I see anything I'm willing to call a ghost, I'll know I'm crazy and admit it.
Better be careful, Aunt Agatha. This house is supposed to be haunted. You know that.
Rubbish. I've lived here all summer, and I haven't heard as much as a board squeak.
But that may be only because you're new to the house. It takes time to become aware of occult influences. I feel them present very strongly. Malignant influences, wishing you evil.
Oh, stuff and nonsense. How did we get started on this rubbish anyway? Now let's finish our tea and no more talk about ghosts.
You finished tea, Ned, and later, along with Professor Piedmont, you outlined to him the interesting and ingenious scheme in which you desire his assistance.
It's like this, Professor. 3 months ago, Aunt Agatha's brother died. leaving her an estate of $400,000.
I see. Light begins to dawn, Ned, my boy. If she were to die now...
No, wait. Unfortunately, my uncle arranged his will so that Aunt Agatha gets only the interest, about $20,000 a year, and this house to live in. On her death, the whole estate goes to charity. I'm cut off without a penny.
That's most unfortunate. I see your uncle didn't like you, Ned. Yes, being very shrewd, wasn't he?
Yes. He was making sure I couldn't get my hands on any of it. But, if Aunt Agatha were to become, shall we say, ill, mentally ill...
Clever, Ned, very clever. You mean if she were to become incompetent to handle her estate, you'd be the administrator of it?
Yes. As her only relative, I'd handle her affairs for her. And I'd have the whole income for as long as she lived. So I don't want her to die.
I'm glad to hear that. I don't care for enterprises in which people die unexpectedly. They're so apt to be risky.
My only hope is for Aunt Agatha to lose her mind through shock or fright. And within the next 2 months, too. This is November. By January 1st, I've got to get my hands on money.
I see. You make it sound urgent.
It is. I owe about $25,000 to certain parties in Chicago. And they're rather tough when they don't get paid.
Yes, I do remember that you always liked to gamble, didn't you? But it's your affair. Personally, I prefer to stick to my own profession, creating ghosts to order.
That's why I sent for you. I remember some of the jobs you did when you were running that phony spiritualistic cult and extracting contributions from the suckers. Very effective.
Thank you, Ned. I've always prided myself on my workmanship in these matters.
Now, listen. This is what I want you to do. You heard Aunt Agatha say she didn't believe in ghosts.
Oh, yes, she was very firm about it.
Well, now, if she actually sees a ghost, or maybe a dozen of them, the shock...
Yes, I understand. But she's a tough-minded woman, hard to scare, hard to drive insane.
It's got to be done. My life depends on it. I know she's tough-minded, but... Professor, that's the very kind of person who is likely to crack suddenly under severe shock.
Yes, I've seen it happen many times. You're right. When the time comes, she may crack just like that.
And you're to see to it she does. If you succeed, there's $5,000 in it for you.
I'll do my best, Ned. All my apparatus is in my trunk. It'll be here tomorrow. And beginning tomorrow, this house is haunted.
The next day, the professor's trunk comes. And while you distract your aunt's attention, Ned, Professor Piedmont is secretly busy. In the evening, you're very careful not to talk about ghosts. You talk about the weather instead.
Listen to that wind. We may be in for a storm.
We're in for an early winter, that's what. The first snow will fall any day now.
It's good to have a fireplace to sit by when the wind blows like that.
Here is the cider and donuts, ma'am.
No, thank you, Henry. Bring them over here.
Yes, cider and donuts and a roaring fire. What could be cozier?
Will you have a glass, Mr. Ned?
Oh, thank you, Henry.
How about you, Professor? You having cider? I say you having cider, Professor.
Professor Henry's trying to give you some cider.
Excuse me. I was listening. I thought I heard someone knocking on the front door.
Someone knocking?
There is someone there.
Can't be very anxious to get in if that's all the noise he can make.
Should I go see who it is, Miss Agatha?
Yes, Henry, go see. Though I can't imagine who'd be calling at this time of night.
Sounds like someone who didn't expect to get in anyway. Timid child or maybe a ghost.
Yes? Who is it? Why, that is very funny. Miss Agatha.
Well?
There is nobody at the door.
No one there? Well, of course there is. Someone knocked, didn't they?
Maybe they did, but when I opened the door, there was no one there.
Then who was knocking? Answer me that.
I'm not prepared to say, but it was not anyone you can see.
Now, Henry, I'll stand for no foolishness from you.
No, ma'am. But just the same, there's nobody at the door.
Someone's playing tricks on us, and I'm going to see who it is.
I'll come with you, Aunt Agatha.
You can look all you like, but you will not find anybody there.
We'll see. Well, what is it? What do you want?
There isn't anyone here. Henry was right.
They slipped away into the bushes. That's what they did.
Yes, of course. Some small boys playing tricks, I suppose.
If I catch them, I'll tan their hides.
Who was it, Miss Wainwright?
Just some boys playing tricks. And that's all it could have been. Come on, Professor. Drink your cider.
Yes, of course.
Professor, you looked as if you were listening to something. What was it?
Oh, no. I assure you,
I know when a man is lying, Professor Piedmont. What were you listening to?
Well, to tell the truth, I thought I heard voices.
What kind of voices?
Far away voices, crying something I couldn't make out. But it was just the wind, I'm sure it was.
Of course, that's all it was. Well, what do you say we turn in? This New England air makes me sleepy.
Knocks at the door when nobody's there, and voices. Yes, it's high time we were all in bed, instead of sitting around here imagining things.
You get to bed that night well satisfied, Ned. You've made an excellent beginning. Aunt Agatha is somewhat shaken, though she won't admit it. But before you retire, you hold a low-voiced conference with Professor Piedmont.
Well, Professor, that door-knocking act was all right. You did it very nicely.
Yes, Ned, an ordinary length of black thread run through a crack in the window sash and attached to the door knocker creates a very satisfactory ghost indeed.
Now, what comes next on the program?
We can't work too fast, Ned, my boy. Tomorrow, the hired man Henry will spread the story of tonight's happenings. The whole town will start whispering about it.
Good. And then?
Tomorrow night, nothing will happen. Your aunt is reassured. But tomorrow I'll be busy. I noticed an old hollow tree in the woods about 100 feet from the house.
What about it?
I'll run wires to it, hiding them under the lawn, and install a small loudspeaker in it. I'll conceal the microphone and amplifier behind the drapes in the living room.
Good. Then 2 nights from now, we'll hear ghostly voices, right?
Exactly. They'll accompany the ghostly knocks on the door. Yes, but that won't be all. There'll be other surprises on the program.
Professor, remind me sometime to tell you that you're a very unpleasant old rascal.
The next evening, as the three of you sit around in the living room with the wind whistling outside, you can see your aunt, Ned, waiting nervously for something to happen. But nothing happens, and she seems reassured when bedtime comes. But the evening after that, things do happen. Just after the clock strikes 9.
9 o'clock. The evening may just be starting in New York, but here at Wilton, it's bedtime. There seems to be someone at the door.
So there is.
Shall I go, Aunt Agatha?
No, Ned. Let the rascals play their tricks, whoever they are. They'll soon stop when they see we pay no attention.
I'll see if I can get a look at them from the window.
Maybe we could trap them if we were to go out quietly by the back door and slip around to the front.
Let me in. Let me in.
What was that?
Let me in. In the name of heaven, let me in.
It's someone calling.
Someone calling? I don't hear anyone.
I tell you, I heard someone.
It's someone calling to us to let him in.
It was funny. I can't hear him.
You must have heard it, Ned. It was perfectly plain.
Well, there are some voices certain people can hear that others can't. If there is someone calling, we'd better take a look.
Yes, of course. Come on, Auntie. We'll have a look.
It's just more tricks of those dad-ratted boys, I'm sure of it.
Let me in, let me in, let me in.
Now we'll see. Who's there? Show yourself, whoever you are.
The yard's perfectly empty.
There isn't a soul in sight.
Both the knocking and the voice seem to have stopped.
Perhaps we ought to search the yard. And Agatha. Look. Down at the edge of the trees.
Lights. 3 balls of light. Moving around. Just above the ground.
Really? 3 spheres of light? Oh, dear me. Luminous spheres are common manifestations of spiritual presence.
Ned, they're rising. They're floating way above the trees. They've gone. They've...
And Agatha. Are you all right? Shall I get a doctor for you?
What do I want with a doctor? I'm all right. I'm just an old fool carrying on like that because of some will-o'-the-wisps. I shan't do it again, I promise you.
You need not be ashamed. Miss Wainwright, unless I am much mistaken, we have witnessed a psychic visitation unequaled in my experience.
Stuff and nonsense. You may believe in spirits, but I don't. I never have believed in ghosts, and I'm not going to start now.
So far, you've done well, Ned, in your little scheme to drive your aunt out of her mind. But now it's impossible to shake her nerves any further. Henry, the hired man, and Stella, the maid, resign in terror. But your aunt remains seemingly unmoved. And you're getting desperate, Ned. It's December, and the end of the year is coming close. And you see all hope of getting your hands on Agatha's money fading away.
Professor, you're a washout. Aunt Agatha hasn't turned a hair at your ghost since those first 2 nights.
I still say it may happen suddenly. She's nervous and not sleeping well. Every evening she sits listening for ghostly voices, though she won't admit it.
Well, what do you suggest? It's the middle of December. I've got to get my hands on the money by the end of the year or I'm sunk.
We must play our last card. You.
Me? What do you mean?
She's very fond of you. You're her only relative.
What are you getting at?
How would she feel if you, her only relative, were to die and come back to her as a ghost? Huh? Quite a shock, huh?
I don't follow you.
My plan is simple. We will say goodbye to your aunt and drive off. And then, secretly in the night, we will return to the house.
And then what?
She will receive a call from a friend of mine in Boston. He will tell your aunt that you and I have been in an automobile accident, that we're dead.
I see. Yeah, I'm beginning to get it.
Immediately after the phone call, we will knock. She will come to the door and see us standing there.
And having just heard that we're both dead?
Exactly. If that doesn't work, we're defeated. But it will be a strong mind indeed that can withstand such a shock. A strong mind indeed.
So, Ned, you put into effect the professor's diabolically clever plan. 2 days later, you and Professor Piedmont say goodbye to your Aunt Agatha and drive away. It's bitterly cold, and snow is beginning to fall. You drive to a motel and spend the night waiting, killing time. After darkness has fallen, you start back toward your aunt's place. But now, there are many inches of snow on the road, and the cold blast of the north wind makes even the heated interior of the car uncomfortable. You're anxious to get back into the warm house.
Oh, it's cold. I'll be glad when this is over, Ned. Must be almost 0.
Yeah, at least. Well, we're almost there. We'll drive up to within 100 yards of the house and wait in the car for a while. What time did you arrange to have that phone call made from Boston?
At 9 o'clock exactly. We want to knock the instant after she gets it.
Right. Isn't it our turn there?
I think so. Snow makes it so hard.
Professor, look out! We're going off the road! We're going off the road!
Then it happens, Ned. The car skids on the slippery road, goes down a steep embankment, turns over on its side. For a moment, you lie stunned. Then fiery pains begin shooting through your ankle. Professor Piedmont forces open the door and bends over you.
Ned! Ned, are you hurt?
My ankle! Help me out of here!
Yes, of course. Take my hand. Come on now. I smell gas. The car may catch fire.
A little more now. I'm almost out. That's it. Now, help me up onto the road.
You can lean on me, but where are we?
Quarter of a mile from Aunt Agatha's. And there isn't another house within a mile.
Well, then, come on. We've got to get there quick. Lean on me and help all you can. If we don't get there soon, we'll freeze to death.
Clinging to the professor, you hobble along through the snow, and the wind slices into your face. Now and then you slip and fall, Ned, and your ankle hurts so that you could scream aloud. Slowly, you get more and more numb, but you struggle on. You have to, or die. And you don't want to die. You want to live. You want terribly to live. And so, after the worst half hour in your life, you and Professor Piedmont reach Agatha Wainwright's house.
Here's the house, Ned. Thank heaven we've made it. I'm exhausted.
Look, she's closed all the shutters.
Well, that was our suggestion, to keep out any spirit who might come knocking in the night.
We've got to get inside. I'm almost frozen. Help me get up these steps.
Yes, Ned. One more step. There, that's it. Now, let's knock.
You both knock and listen. Inside, Agatha Wainwright hears you. But just as she starts for the door, the telephone rings. And since it's right beside her, naturally, she answers it first.
Just a moment, whoever you are at the door. Hello. Yes, this is Miss Agatha Wainwright. The Boston General Hospital. My nephew, Ned. What is it? What's happened to him? Dead. An automobile accident. Both of them killed. Oh, no. No. Yes, I'm all right, thank you. Thank you for letting me know. I'll come in the morning. Ned killed. Oh, no. No, he couldn't be. What? Who is it?
Aunt Agatha, it's Ned. Let me in, please, let me in.
No. Ned's dead. He's dead.
Let us in, let us in.
No, you can't be, Ned. Ned was killed a little while ago. He's dead.
Aunt Agatha, please open the door.
He's dead. If he's out there now, he's a ghost. The professor was right. There are ghosts.
Aunt Agatha, we're freezing. You've got to let us in.
No! You can't come in! You're Ned's ghost! You can't come in! I won't open the door for you! I won't let a ghost in here! Never! Never, never,
This is Tony Roberts again. Did you enjoy our adventure into fear? What happened to Ned and Professor Piedmont? Oh, their little plan worked. Altogether too well. Yes, Aunt Agatha's mind cracked at last, just as Professor Piedmont predicted it might. Unfortunately, nothing could make Aunt Agatha open that door. after she'd learned that Ned and Professor Piedmont had been killed in an accident. When morning came, the bodies of Ned and the professor were found frozen stiff beneath the shuttered windows they'd vainly tried to open. Too bad. It was such a clever scheme. Ah, well, considering where they are now, they no longer need money. And besides, they tell me it never gets cold there. Goodbye now. And be with us again next week when we adventure into fear. Adventure into fear. Welcome to Adventure into Fear. This is your host, Tony Roberts, to take you on a personally conducted tour into the world of the strange, the mysterious, the uncanny, and the unknown. Remember, none of these things you'll hear about could possibly happen to you. Or could they? Now to our story. I hope it will thrill you a little and chill you a little. So settle back, get a good grip on your nerves, and be comfortable, if you can, as we join two ingenious gentlemen who find themselves in a jam with only one way out. It's the story I call Two of a Kind. The scene is a big, gloomy office in the financial district. The furniture is solid mahogany, but it's 50 years old. Everything is old about the place except the two younger partners, Joe Webster and Peter Rykev. They're young and enterprising, perhaps too enterprising. Joe Webster is alone in his office, scowling at some papers, when the buzzer sounds.
Yes, A.J.?
Can you come into my office, Joseph? There's something I want to discuss with you.
Of course, A.J. Be right in. Uh-oh, there it comes. Think fast, Joe. Think fast.
Oh, come in, Joseph. Peter is already here.
Certainly. Hi, Pete.
Hi.
Have a good game of golf over the weekend?
Broke 80, Joe. You ought to try it sometime.
Okay. Okay, A.J., shoot. Something special come up?
It's about the estate of Mary Jane Fleming. I should say the estate of Waldo Fleming, left in trust for Mary Jane, his only child.
You remember, Joe, Waldo Fleming drowned about 5 years ago when a sailboat tipped over. I've been administering his estate for the firm ever since.
Oh, sure, I remember. We're trustees until the girl reaches 21. That'll be in 3 years, right?
Until she reaches the age of 21, Joseph, or until she marries.
Don't tell me that skinny little girl with pigtails is going to get herself married.
Well, strange as it seems, Joe, she is. You see, she's grown out of the pigtail stage by now. I understand she's quite attractive.
Oh, unusually attractive. And she's marrying a very fine young man, with my approval.
Oh, of course. Still, they'll want to have a long engagement, no doubt. Get to know each other.
Well, it seems that they do know each other, Joe. They grew up together. The wedding is in 2 weeks.
2 weeks? Are you kidding?
I'm afraid not.
We're all invited, Joseph. But that means we must be prepared to turn over the estate in 2 weeks.
Turn over the estate in 2 weeks?
Exactly. Now, I've been looking over the figures, and I'm a little puzzled.
A.J. was telling me some of the securities seem to be misplaced, Joe.
Misplaced? It could hardly be possible. Oh, no, I have it. Remember, Pete, that big batch of stocks we took to Reynolds, that specialist, to appraise for us?
Why, yes, I think I do.
We took over a big batch of stuff, A.J. Wanted an expert opinion on whether to dump it or hold it for the long pull. Probably some of the Fleming stuff is among them.
Well, now, Joseph, according to my recollection...
Yes, A.J. Now Joe mentions that I think he's right. Tell you what we'll do. We'll run up tomorrow morning, pick up all the stocks, bring them back here, then buckle down and prepare a final accounting to the estate.
Well, I suppose that's all right, Peter. We do have to work rather fast.
We sure do. Very fast. Hey, Pete?
As you say, Joe. Very fast. Well, if that's okay with you, J.J.
Okay. Go ahead and let me see the preliminary balance sheet in, say 3 days.
3 days it is, A.J. We'll get to work right now.
We're already at work. Joe, how about dropping into my office for a consultation on what our first move should be?
Pete, haven't you got a bottle of liquor in this office?
Sure, but you know how A.J. feels about drinking during business hours.
I know how he feels about plenty of things. And I need a drink. So do you. Now break it out.
Check. There's yours.
Okay, thanks.
Well, happy days, Joe.
Happy days where? In the penitentiary? Who'd have thought that Fleming girl would go and get married on us like this? Pete, we're sunk. We can never replace those stocks in 2 weeks.
I know it. I almost confessed to old A.J. and got it over with.
Wait a minute. Never confess, see? It's the wrong strategy. While there's life, there's hope.
I wish I knew where... Joe, this was your doing. It was you who convinced me that we could make $100,000 each if we borrowed those stocks and parlayed them on the market. Now we're out $40,000. We've got 2 weeks to make it good.
Don't go blaming me. You were plenty ready to try it. You didn't need much persuading.
Maybe not, but... Look, there's no use quarreling now. We've got to stick together.
Yeah, now that's better. All right, pour another drink and let's get down to cases.
Here. But seriously, Joe, now suppose we did own up to A.J. Maybe he'd be lenient. Help us to make good and pay it back out of future business profits.
Not A.J. He'd call it a shocking betrayal of trust and see us in up for the limit.
And then what? How can we get those securities back into the Fleming Trust Fund? Oh. Could we borrow some from one of the other trust funds?
Impossible. A.J. personally handles anything that would be big enough.
There's the McDonald trusteeship. You handle that.
Pete, the McDonald securities have already been borrowed.
What? You mean to tell me that you...
Yes, Pete. McDonald account is shy about 20 grand, too.
Why, look, I didn't know anything about that. I'm not going to be runging in on your crooked deal.
Keep your shirt on, will you? Now, listen, Peter. You're already in on the Fleming deal. It doesn't make a bit of difference if we get caught for 1 or 2 or 3 deals. If we can get out of the Fleming mess, I'll be able to clean up the McDonald accounts and get the book straightened out.
You'd better be able to.
Now, let's consider possibilities. We'll start by elimination. We can't borrow 40 grand, right?
Right.
We can't transfer securities from another trust fund.
Right.
We can't hold up a bank.
There's no use joking about it.
I'm not joking. I'm deadly serious.
Now, let's face it, we're sunk. There's no out.
There's always an out, if you're smart enough to find it.
All right. There's always an out, you name it. Go on. You're the one who's talking about being smart. Now prove it.
Well, suppose I do. The way out isn't necessarily an easy way.
That doesn't matter if it'll work.
It'll work. If you're man enough to work it.
What do you mean by that?
I just mean A.J. He's the way out.
Talking in circles. I don't follow you.
Do I have to spell it out? All right. Suppose A.J. suddenly died. What then?
Oh, we'd get a couple of months extra to prepare the accounting of the estate, and it'd be only natural to allow us extra time.
Exactly.
But what good would the extra time do us? We still haven't got the money.
No, but we have an insurance policy covering all 3 of us as members of the firm. If A.J. died, we'd collect a substantial chunk of insurance money. Then we'd have the 2 items we need, time and money. We'd be in the clear.
Except for that little matter of the other trust fund you've milked.
First things first. Well, are you with me?
I'm with you. agree with you, yes. If A.J. died, it would give us an out, but he's not likely to die unless... No, Joe. Joe, you don't mean that.
Yes, I do. I do mean that.
Now, wait a minute.
Pull yourself together, Pete, and face it. A.J. has to die, suddenly, unexpectedly. And it's up to us to arrange it. Ah, beautiful day, isn't it, A.J.? And the hills. These hills are the nation's most beautiful scenery.
Yes, Joseph, they're very nice. But really, I'm not sure this little expedition is a good idea at all. Why I let you talk me into a weekend at your fishing lodge...
A.J., all work and no play makes Joe a dull boy. The trout season is opening, and I promise you a basket full of beauties. Oh, there's a diner. I need some coffee. So do you, Pete. Oh, and we'll bring you out a cup, A.J. No need you getting out of the car.
Well, thank you, Joseph. I am comfortable here. Bit sleepy, too.
Say, you like it black, no sugar, don't you?
That's right. Black, no sugar.
Just be a minute.
No hurry.
Joe.
What is it?
What are you up to? What's your plan? You can't keep me in the dark any longer. I demand to know.
All in good time, Pete. See, you're not a very good conspirator. You might give it away.
This trip. When we get to the lodge, you're not going to stage a fake hunting accident with a rifle, I hope. That's too cruel.
Just trust me, Pete. Just trust me. Now, we're going in, get A.J. a cup of strong black coffee. Into that coffee, I'm going to put a sleeping tablet. In half an hour, A.J. will be sound asleep. Then, Pete, you'll learn just what I have in mind. Right ahead, there's the finest view in New England, A.J. A.J.! Seems to be asleep, Pete.
Yeah, he's asleep, all right.
Well, we'll stop anyway.
Be careful, Joe. We're on a slope. It's at least a 400-foot drop ahead of us.
485 feet, government survey. Look at that view. Magnificent. Hey, Jay, you don't want to miss this view.
Sleeping soundly.
How I envy him. The ability to sleep soundly is worth more than riches.
Oh, stop the corny conversation. Now, what are you planning?
This is it, Pete. This is where the firm loses its senior partner. Now, here's all you have to do. Get out and stand beside the car and pretend to be looking at the view with the field glasses.
Well?
Do it and I'll explain. That's it. Now, 300 feet over there is a hot dog stand. The owner is going to be our prize witness.
What are you doing there by the front wheel?
I'm putting a block of wood under the wheel. The block of wood is tied to 100 feet of silk fishing line. There. Now I'm going to release the handbrake. Well, don't watch me. Study the view and cover me from the side of the hot dog stand. Okay. That's good. And the only thing that keeps the car from rolling forward and off the cliff is the block of wood under the front wheel.
I don't like it, Joe. It'll look fishy.
It won't. You'll see. It'll be the most natural accident that ever happened. Now, go over to the hot dog stand. Get some Frankfurts and 3 Cokes. Talk to the proprietor. Keep an eye on the car. Now, you got it?
Yeah, I got it.
Okay. I'll walk over to that rock. I have the camera. I'll pull the fishing line, pull out the block under the wheel. The car will go over with A.J. sound asleep in it. You got the picture?
Yeah, I think it'll work.
Of course it'll work. Just watch me in operation and you'll learn plenty. Now, get going.
Afternoon, mister.
Good afternoon. Beautiful view you have here.
Yeah, it's kind of nice. Brings in plenty of business.
Seems a little quiet right now, though.
Yeah, a little early in the year. Only opened up last week.
Big crowd starts in June.
I see.
Mm-hmm.
Well, let me have 3 hot dogs and 3 Cokes, please.
Was that, 3 you said?
Yeah, that's right. We have a friend resting in the car.
Oh, sure. Hey, let me warm the dogs a bit. Hey, hope you got good brakes on that car. Couldn't have picked the worst spot to park it.
It is a bit of a slope. We didn't notice until we'd stopped.
Plenty of flat ground around. That spot where your car's at is going to be fenced off next year.
Well, my friend wanted to get some movies without having the car in the picture. That's why I stopped there.
Oh, sure. Well, here you... Hey, look at that.
What?
Your car's moving.
Oh, no. No, Joe, the car. Stop it. Stop it.
Brakes must have slipped. He's running for it.
Hurry. It's going.
Can't make it. Hasn't a chance. Look, there. It's going over the edge.
Oh, no, our partner's in that. It can't be true.
Hey, easy, mister, easy. There's nothing you can do now. Hey, look at that smoke. She's caught fire. Yeah, but your friend, mister, he won't suffer. He died when she hit.
Now, gentlemen, the facts seem plain enough.
Yes, I think they are, Mr. Andrews. Tragically plain. If only I hadn't parked the car in that spot.
I keep telling Joe that anyone might have done it, Mr. Andrews, but he keeps blaming himself.
And then to have the brake slip. Of course, it's always at the worst possible moment that thing should happen.
Yeah, that's another point I intended to bring up.
Of course. Because the car was checked just before we left. All the brakes were perfect.
Yes, our investigation established that. Well, it's another one of those accidents. Something that would only happen once in 10,000 times.
The 10,000th time is the fatal one.
Well, gentlemen, that completes the formalities. I'll make my report, and you can expect the insurance check in about 10 days.
Thank you, Mr. Andrews. Let me see to the door.
Thank you.
If there's anything else we can add to your report...
No, I think that is all. Good day, Mr. Rakev.
Good day, Mr. Andrews. Well, he's gone. He didn't like it, but he had to accept the story at his face value.
He wanted to be suspicious, Pete, my boy, so I accused myself before he could do it. Strategy, Bud, strategy. Always take the initiative. Make the other fellow meet you on your own terms.
Well, I guess we're in the clear, but I feel terrible. That's straining my nerves.
Cheer up. Have a drink. Yeah. Here, take this. Now, down the hatch. Come on, happy days.
Yeah. Well, now that it's all over, Joe...
Yeah?
I'm leaving, Joe. I'm going abroad for a few months.
You are, Pete?
Yes, I've got to get away. Try to forget that car going over that cliff with H.A. in it, then burning that one.
Burning was very fortunate, Pete. It burned up all the records in the Fleming Trust file. So we have all the time we need to get everything in order.
Yes, I know, but you don't need me. I can't take it. I wasn't cut out to be a crook. Murder, I'm too soft. Got to break up the firm. I'm going into something else.
You're soft, all right, Pete, but you'll harden up. I'm a good teacher. You'll learn a lot before we're finished.
No, I tell you I can't do it. You'll have to go ahead on your own.
Now, wait a minute, Pete. Aren't you forgetting we're still not out of the woods? There's that McDonald Trust in which we're 20,000 short.
You're short, not me. You took the money.
I said we're short. Once we've covered up that hole, then we can dissolve the firm, not before.
How? How can we do it?
I'm beginning to get an idea. Tell you what you do. Take a few days off. Pull yourself together. Meet me at the office Friday afternoon, and we'll lay some plans.
Friday, that's Memorial Day.
I know. There's a big Memorial Day parade. Good excuse to have the place to ourselves so we can talk.
All right. Friday at the office.
Good. Now, let's have another drink on it. Somehow I notice we've both been drinking a lot more these last few weeks.
It's you, Joe. You're late.
The parade held me up a bit. Great things, parades. Marching men, bands going oompa, oompa. Nothing like a parade.
You've been drinking?
Oh, I stopped for a snort or two, but that thing on your desk isn't a bottle of milk.
I had one to kill time. Here, You might as well have one.
Okay.
There you are, Joe. Drown your sorrow.
I haven't any sorrows. I'm sitting on top of the world. Ooh. You better change your brand. That's real poison.
It's not as smooth as it used to be, but it's got a kick. Sit down, Joe. You said you had a plan.
Sure I do. Always have a plan. This one's a honey.
We're making good the 20 grand we owe the trust.
Exactly.
Well, let's have it.
No, all right. We have all the afternoon. The office is empty. It's just you and me. Well, Pete, tell me. You still want to break up the firm?
I don't know. I've been thinking. I've learned a lot from watching you in action, Joe.
I'm a great little teacher, I am.
Yeah. Maybe I could learn to be like you after all. Maybe I could even learn to plan to kill someone.
Sure you could if you had to. And we had to kill A.J., Pete. We had to. You get me?
Yes, of course. I even figured out how we could have done it a different way.
Such as?
Well, you remember old Colonel Caraway used to be our client?
Sure. Colonel Caraway had his heart trouble. Every time he came to the office, everybody was jittery for fear he'd have an attack.
Exactly. Well, you know, he left a bottle of his special medicine with A.J. in case of an emergency while he was here.
You're sure? That's right. I'd forgotten. Strong stuff. 3 drops would save a man's life. A teaspoon would kill him.
That's it. Well, that medicine's still around, even though the Colonel is now playing the harp. I hope it's a harp.
I'm way ahead of you, Pete. You were going to say, why didn't we have A.J. swallow some of the stuff and kill him that way?
That's right. Why not? Hasn't much taste. Could have given him some in coffee.
Because, my friend, it might have been called suicide. And suicide is not covered by our joint insurance policy.
It isn't?
Positively not. While, on the other hand, accidental death pays double. Yeah. So you see why my scheme was good and yours strictly no good.
Well,
Hey, what is it? What's wrong? Why are you so pale?
Oh, I guess that last drink was too much.
Fresh air, that's what you need. Come on over. We'll open the window. Watch the parade.
Well,
Sure, do you good. I'll help you. Hey, say, you're shaking like a leaf.
No, I'm all right.
Now, up with the window. These big old windows, eh? There, smell that air. See the parade down there? Here, listen to that band. Real old marching music, isn't it?
Yeah, I'm much better now.
Lean out. Get a good look. More fresh air that way.
Joe, stop pushing me. This low windowsill.
Joe, what are you doing? No!
Goodbye, Pete. Now you know what my plan was. Now you understand how I figured to get the money to replace the missing 20,000. You were too weak. You'd have given me away somehow, but you can't now. Another accidental death. Drinking. Opened the window to watch the parade. Fell out. Yeah, it'll get by, and I'll collect double indemnity. That's planning, Pete. Uh-oh. Get up here already. Before I get down there. Better up here. Pretty upset. Coming. Coming. Well, Mr. Andrews.
Hello, Mr. Webster. Where's your partner, Mr. Rykev?
Pete? Don't you know? Isn't that why you're here?
Know what?
Pete just fell out of the window, sir. He'd been drinking. Opened the window. Gosh, it was terrible. I gotta get down there.
Oh, no, you
Now, let go of me. I tell you, I gotta get down there. Poor Pete, he's fell 15 stars.
You're not getting away with it this time. You killed him, Webster. Killed him to cover up your tracks.
What do you mean?
He phoned me early this afternoon. Said he'd found a big discrepancy in a trust fund you were handling.
He told you that?
He certainly did. He also told me he planned to confront you this afternoon with the evidence.
But
So I thought I'd drop in. But I was too late. You killed him trying to cover up. Killed him and thought we'd swallow another accident. This time we've got you.
But it doesn't make sense. Pete, he was involved. Couldn't have hoped to clear himself. He turned me in.
Webster, what is it?
Pain in my chest. Feels like my heart.
Hey, I'll call a doctor. Where's the phone book?
No use. I understand. Now, Pete figured out his own plan. He said He'd learned from me, only he wasn't bright
Are you
enough.
trying to tell me that Rykev planned to kill you?
Sure he did. First, he phoned you he'd caught me at something, and then he put poison in that whiskey. After I was dead, he was going to tell you that I killed myself when I knew he'd found me out. Killed myself. Don't you see?
See what? I don't understand at all.
He thought he'd collect insurance. Didn't know suicide wasn't covered. So his scheme was no good. Both had the same scheme. Only mine was a good one. Pete wouldn't work. He wasn't smart enough. Not smart enough.
Webster! Webster!
This is Tony Roberts again. Did you enjoy our adventure? Dear me, the entire firm was wiped out, wasn't it? Such a loss. Two such bright young men as Joe Webster and Peter Rykev. Now you understand why I call this story Two of a Kind. They thought along the same lines. The trouble was, their ideas weren't constructive. Joe is still mad at Pete. You see, Joe had many clever schemes he didn't get a chance to try out. If you'd like to test any of Joe's ideas, just get in touch with a medium. Goodbye now. Oh, I hope you'll be with us again next week as we adventure into fear.